Hey guys, it's your guy Jimmy, and today we're going to be working on this 1995 Nissan Pathfinder. It's got a 6-cylinder engine, and we are going to be changing the belts and the water pump. And so I got the Shilton manual here. There's a valve up there we just gotta get to. It's right up here, counterclockwise, I believe. Hopefully I don't break it. I can get it by hand now. Oh man. Oh, in my mouth and everything. Oh man, what the heck? Oh, I just got soaked in this stuff. Holy crap. That ain't cool. This stuff tastes nasty. I gotta get a different shirt on. Oh man, look at that mess. Oh my gosh, I gotta clean this up now. Alright, it's magic. It's all cleaned up. And I got my coolant over there. It looks pretty dirty. Let's put this thing here back where it belongs. Alright. This here, let's take this off. Might leak all over the place, so just be prepared. Alright, there we go. So just unclip this thing on the fan shroud. Now, should be able to pull it out. There we go. As you can see, this thing here gets snapped in, right like that. So, luckily, it doesn't look like I broke anything, because these plastic things can break usually pretty easily, especially if it's old and brittle. So that's out. So now let's see how we take these belts off, because I do not know. We're underneath the vehicle here at the power steering belt tensioner. It was right here. So how I could tell is there's this bracket here. It's connected to the water pump, and there's a slot right here. So what happens is you loosen this bolt. I'll just turn it out by hand. See, look at that. There we go. So that loosens it. You turn it clockwise, and it'll loosen it. So that's almost loose enough to get it off. We're gonna loosen the alternator belt. We got the power steering pump belt off, and then this one here, you gotta loosen this bolt right here. So it's the top mounting bolt on the alternator. As you can see, it's already loose. And then go down here. We loosen the same design here. Loosen this bolt here. The pinch bolt, it's what keeps the tension. It holds the bracket from sliding back and forth as you tighten this down, and then you screw this out so you can have plenty of movement to loosen it up. So it's just like the power steering pump tensioner. So pretty easy, 12 millimeter, and then see, this is almost loose enough. See how much more slot we got. Looks like we don't have much left, because you can see right here there's not much room left. You gotta loosen this bolt here, otherwise it's not gonna move. This has a slot in it. It looks like. Oh, okay. That's how you adjust it. Oh dang, it's right here. This bolt right here. What's adjust is it? Okay. Put this on the shopping list cart. Compressor belt. Razor blade out. You get replaced anyway, so. And this is the one that was in really pretty bad shape. As you can see here, it was starting to fray a little bit, and flip it over, it's all cracking. So definitely want to replace these. So yeah, you can see that. Look at that. It's all dry rotted. Alright, there we go. Alright, so I just took off this hose right here and the pipe that goes down to the lower radiator hose. And something else we're going to change is the thermostat here. This bolt was hiding underneath this hose, so I had to come off regardless. Go. Us finding top dead center. I took the spark plugs out, as you saw, took them all out, even though that really wasn't necessary, although it is if I'm going to replace them. So that's the plan. So I got the extension here connected to the crankshaft down there, and I rotated it until I got top dead center. And as you can see right here, your mark is right there, and the mark is slightly off on this side. But you go over here, the mark is here, and you know, it's right there. So I'm gonna go just a tad bit more, leave it right there for now, and we're gonna take the crank bolt off. Alright, so I ended up taking the fan off of here. I don't know if you can hear that. That is the water pump, and that sounds horrible. I try to stick my impact gun in here. I might have to get a flywheel lock and take the starter out in order to get this bolt off. The manual doesn't tell me that, but I want to fit this thing in here so I can try to impact that bolt off. And I cannot fit this thing in here with this radiator out, so we're going to take this radiator out right now. To work already, we took the upper hose off, the lower hose off, and now we got to disconnect. It looks like these two bolts. Alright, that bolt's out there. Just move that out of the way. Overflow tube. Put that to the side. And we should be free. This hose is just kind of in the way. Go. Carefully move this thing out. I do not like to use this as a 12-point non-impact bit, but this is what fits in there. So, hope for the best. Oh yeah, there you go. Perfect. Something's holding it up. Let's try this. I'm gonna get underneath the car and hit it from behind it with put a little padding on there with some electrical tape and a hammer. Man, it looks like, oh, there it is. Wow, that's a small bolt down there. Pop off, and will I be able to get it off with this thing on there? It doesn't look like it. So now we got another problem. We gotta take this off because I can't get this cover off. So ended up using some really good gloves to hold this while I was loosening it, because when you loosen it, this whole thing rotates. So when I did that, it worked out just great. So I'm just going to take these things off, and hopefully this will all come out so we can get the cover off. Alright, there we go. I should be able to get this cover off. And there we go. So now we're ready to loosen the tensioner pulley. And then there's a tensioner spring in there. Man, that's really tight. Holy moly. It's a 14. Let me get the impact. Wow, that was on there way too tight. Do a counterclockwise tighten. You can see the spring tightening as well. And then clockwise to loosen it. So I'm going to go counterclockwise. About right there. And this belt should be able to get it off. There we go. Pull this thing out. So we got our contraption there. That goes in that groove right there. Let's take the water pump out now. Alright, so now that we got our belt, water pump off, we're going to take our thermostat out. Looks like they got some kind of sealant on these bolts, so I have to look up to see if we got to do that. So we got all the gasket removed from down where the water pump gets mounted to. So we got our new paper gasket here. We'll not be using any sealant on this gasket. We're just gonna put it right on there. I spent hours trying to get this old gasket off, and we're gonna get our water pump on. Our M6 bolt here, and per the manual, we're gonna tighten this to 3 to 7 foot-pounds. The only difference with these bolts here is we got one longer one, which remember that going right here. And guys, we're gonna do no sealant. I know some people put sealant on, others don't. Manual says no sealant, so we are not gonna do sealant. Alright, I'm just checking to make sure that gasket got aligned, and it looks like it did. Now this bolt here, uh-oh. You guys heard that? That didn't sound good. I gotta go fetch that now. This is a weird design pump. Never worked on these engines before. Now we got our last bolt here. It's gonna go right here. Alright, we're gonna tighten this in a crisscross pattern. We got our torque wrench here. Alright. This top one, side one here. Alright, so we're going to install the thermostat next. We got the water pump on, thermostat here. There was some RTV sealant on here which we scraped off. And I ended up ordering this gasket here. And that happens to fit right on this outside area. So, manual says use sealant. We're not going to use sealant. We're just going to use this gasket here. That's what we did for the water pump, so why should I put sealant in there? Now these bolts get torqued 12 to 15 foot-pounds. Something else here, we got alignment marks that we gotta make sure we align up. Right here, we got alignment mark, a little knob there and there. So that just helps us align up how we're supposed to put it. And then also, when you go install this thermostat, there's a little floating valve right there, that little brass thing. Now that is supposed to be pointing up. First, we're going to install the belt. And to do that, we're going to install the tensioner first. So install the tensioner. We have our spring attached to our new pulley, or we inserted the spring into the hole. And so we're going to install this on there, and then we're going to rotate this clockwise 1 revolution to pre-tension the spring. And then we're going to temporarily install the nut. So we'll get our washers here. Alright, so we're going to turn this clockwise 1 revolution. So you can see here it's hitting right on there. So we're going to turn this revolution. Alright, it's under tension right now. Alright, we got our belt here, and something I want to point out is when we're installing our belt, there's arrows on the belt. That's supposed to be facing forward towards the front cover, they say in the manual. And when you're installing this, this is how we're going to install it. The two camshaft sprockets, they're going to be lined up. The line mark is going to line up with this here and with this mark here. Those two lines, they're supposed to be 40 teeth. And then if you really want to go crazy, there should be 43 teeth from the left camshaft sprocket to the crankshaft sprocket. So basically it goes like this. We put it up like that. So from here to all the way down here, 43 teeth. So let's go ahead and put this in position. And right now the engine's in top dead center on the #1 cylinder compression stroke. That's important, guys, because you want to have a starting point when you're doing this. So we got this alignment mark here. That right there is lined up with the cover back there. This alignment mark is lined up to right here. This is like a nick right there. And then we go down here, and you can see that this mark inside the oil pump casing is lined up with this the sprocket. So that is just dead center. That's perfect. We are ready to put this belt on. Let's see if I loosen this pulley, if I can get to have more slack. The most slack, so right, I want it about right there. There gives me the moves for the pulley further that way, so it gives me enough more slack to work with. See, move it up, and it pushes back to the right. Move it down. We'll do it like right there. Wow, I'm so close, but still not getting there. Oh, there we go. That's the trick right there. Kind of put it under it first, and then you slide it over. Alright, so we got our alignment marks up. We got the that alignment mark right there. And then over here, you see the alignment mark here. That sprocket's still lined up good. Yeah, I can see it. You can actually see it right through the mirror there. It's lined up. And we ended up pre-tensioning our tensioner here. With you know, you turn the Allen key, you tighten it up, and you preload the spring. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn this tensioner 70 to 80 degrees clockwise, and then we are gonna tighten the nut. So we're gonna hold the tension where it's at currently, and we're gonna tighten the spring. We're gonna go clockwise another about 70 degrees. 90, 80, so that's 90 right there. So we're gonna back off just a little bit, and we're gonna tighten it right there. We got all of our alignment marks correctly aligned. The two camshafts and the crankshaft sprocket is all aligned. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate the engine clockwise slowly several times. And then as we're rotating it, we're just moving everything around to where it's like normal as in its running condition. So at that point, we're gonna apply 22 foot-pounds of torque, 22 pounds, I'm sorry, of pressure right here. I don't have a spring gauge, so we're just gonna go by feel. So I'm gonna put like that much pressure, about 22 pounds right there. I know that's not like proper, but that's what we're gonna do here. Do that, and then we're gonna loosen this up, all right? And then we're gonna stick our feeler gauge. Now this is set to 0.35. We're gonna stick our feeler gauge in here, and then we're gonna rotate. Don't do that, but you're gonna rotate the engine clockwise, and the feeler gauge is gonna go around the sprocket. And then at that time, this is gonna adjust to the proper tension that the belt needs to be. And once that feeler gauge gets halfway or just about all the way through, you're gonna tighten this lock nut, and then that's your tension of the belt. And then you're gonna torque this to 40 foot-pounds, and then you're done. And then once you get torqued, you rotate it again several times. They just want you to make sure that you have all the alignment marks. Just, you know, do it, go slow, check it again, and then you're done with the timing belt. Right there. So line mark is it's lined up. Go a little bit more, about right there. Alright, so now that we got everything's lined up properly, we're gonna apply 22 foot-pounds of torque on this and then loosen this thing up. And then should be able to slide our gauge through. We're gonna turn this crankshaft over, get that measurement, go the other way. Actually, we want to go clockwise. I'm gonna stick from down here. All right. Right there is the tension I want. All right. And then torque that to 40 foot-pounds. See, look at that. It just loosened up a lot. But it's not under load. Like me stopping, it doesn't put under load. So that's the thing. So like if I rotate it slowly, see it's under load now. I mean, it's still like tight, but you want it to be pretty loose. It doesn't look right, but you do want it to be loose. See, like there? See, that looks really bad. So look at that. That looks horrible. I mean, we're gonna roll with this. I'm not gonna be spending like my whole night doing this stuff, which this is a very important step. But I'm pretty confident this is gonna be just fine. Right there. So we installed our spark plugs. Those are good to go. We put dielectric grease inside our boots, so conductivity is good. And we also ended up putting some dielectric grease between all these connectors just to prevent corrosion. Alright guys, so I have these studs that came with the water pump kit, and I did not realize until I was putting this back together that they came with these studs, and these studs end up going through here. So I'm going to get that together, and then once that is together I can put on the pulley, and there's nuts that secure the pulley. Alright guys, so I have one more stud to go here. Here's our stud that came with our kit. Now, I did something really dumb. I was trying to feed it through the back, which was completely wrong. You want to put the small end, teaching you guys my mistakes here, put the small end inside first, and then you get two nuts. I just used the nuts that secured the fan, so I put one nut on there, put the other nut on like so, and then you get two wrenches, and then you tighten them down. Alright, just like that. You lock them together, and then you just grab this handle and put your wrench on it, and you turn it. So right now the whole stud is turning, and you put your wrench on the outside of the nut until it's tight. So you will notice that it's tight until the stud stops turning. So it's still turning, and right there, that's good. You get your mirror and you can see that the stud is right there on the other side. And then you take your two wrenches, loosen them up, and you take the nuts off. Let's stick this on here, and then put this. Alright, so these fan clutches, to tell if they're worn out, when it's cold, it's not supposed to move freely. So this has a little bit of resistance, which is okay. This is the old one. You could tell like this one looks a lot better shape. I ended up getting this out of the junkyard, and this, you know, it's got, you could tell it's got a little bit more resistance. A little crooked, which isn't cool, but it's better than the old one. Alternator belt on. So as you can see here, I got this, you know, snug down, not too tight, and I ended up tightening this back up. And down here this is what you loosen. You turn this clockwise and it'll screw in that way, and it'll pull the alternator out to tighten this. And once you get the tension that you want, then you tighten the lock bolt. So this is our tensioner for the AC belt. This is not reaching up, so let's loosen this here. There we go. It's dropping down. There we go. Ow. Alright, let's tighten the tensioner up. It's bringing up the pulley. Alright, that's probably good. Now let's tighten the pulley nut to lock it in place with the 14 mil. A power steering pump belt on. Where is that belt? Where are you? Woohoo! Where are you hiding? Oh, here you are hiding. There we go. Alright, so we got our tensioner set up here for this power steering pump belt. So I'm just going to tighten this bolt up to get rid of the slack. You're just getting started? Get yourself one of these wrenches. They're so clever. I use them all the time. Alright, so we just got it, you know. Yeah, that's Jimmy tight right there. That's how tight we gotta go. And then we get our little 12mm socket set up, and we tighten down the lock bolt. Alright, we got a radiator. We're gonna somehow get this in here. This here, which I probably should have put on before. I definitely should have done this before. But we will adapt to our scenario. Alright, so I'll just get these hoses on here. They are quite a challenge. Looks good. And we got that small hose and the metal pipe connected to the bottom radiator, which was a big pain in the butt, but hey, we got it done. Let's get this bolt in, get that in where it belongs. Some oil. Put our hose clamp on there first. Don't want to forget that. Let's get this one tightened. Let me show you guys something on the bottom. So on the bottom, it's like grooved. There's like a little bubble right there, and it sits right inside there, and it's secured. Basically, they designed this as where you can have the fan and the fan clutch on and slide this thing underneath. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna put this fan on, and then we're gonna slide the cover in between. Alright, we got the fan on there. Slide this thing in. Hopefully things just slide in place. Come on now. Alright. Oh yeah. That's the trick. Just put these bolts in. This one. So we can get this thing on. You guys probably watched me tighten this for the third time. Who knows? Looks like everything is connected. Alright, so we are ready to start this engine here, and we have the coolant reservoir, the radiator cap off. That way when it's running it can properly vent out and we can bleed it. And once we get that, we can just top that off. We filled up our over tank reservoir right here. Our oil's good. We changed the filter that's in. Thing is looking all right down here. Just hoping that this thing doesn't make any abnormal noises, and the low oil pressure light ends up going off once we start it up. And no leaks. So we're gonna, let's give this a try. It hasn't been started in like a month. Fuel pump kicked on. All right. Just pushing the clutch. All right, here we go. Let's listen carefully. All right, oil pressure light went away. Wow, it's actually running really well right now. Nice. I'm liking this so far. Oh yeah, it's sounding really nice. It sounds so much smoother than before. It was making all kinds of squealing noises before. Yeah, everything seems to be going fine. So let's just keep this running for a few minutes. It's been running for some time now, and this was overflowing out of here, so I just ended up shutting it. All the bubbles seem to be out because when I was filling it, I was squeezing that bottom hose, and it was like sucking the fluid into the engine and getting all the air out as I was filling it. I just took my time filling it, and that, you know, made it to where I barely had any air bubbles to start with. And overflow tank is looking good right there. Just want to thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you click that like button. It helps me out grow this channel, and subscribe. Push the notification bell if you want to see more videos of what I do. You be good, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Oh, I'm just looking at this. Something doesn't look right. I believe I forgot to put the bottom cover on here. I think I did. So I might have to take this belt off, which I'm glad I caught that right now instead of later. Yeah, that looks really loose. I don't know what you guys think, but that is ridiculous. Now let's, oh, this isn't good. This is jumping off the teeth. See, look guys, this is jumping off the teeth right here. That's not good. It says the rocker arm shaft bolts must be loosened so that the correct belt tension can be obtained. You know what I think about that? You know exactly what I think about that, because I am not doing that. And so this is how I'm doing it. Too much. No such thing. Too much. Woohoo. Right here. GoPro, stop recording.